What is up, geeks? It's good to see you. Happy time zone. My name is Shauna, pronouns she, they.
My name is Joe, pronouns she, they.
And we are Mythic Geekdom.
It has been a while since we've seen you guys.
I know.
We are going to be starting up our video game stream very soon, but in the meantime, you may notice from the beautiful people below us that we have a very special stream today. We are going to be having some really cool tabletop games that we're going to be showing off from Indie Press Revolution. These guys are amazing. We met them at a local con. Guys, you cannot, I cannot wait for you guys to see the amazing games that we are going to be showing off today.
That's right. We're going to be talking about some of these awesome tabletop games. Some of them, hopefully, tabletop role-playing games, I'm hoping. But we got some friends. Well, I was setting up, Joe. It was a plant. I was setting up. Okay. So, we are so excited to have Indie Press Revolution with us today to give us kind of some great advice on some other types of tabletop games that we could be playing at our game nights coming to a table near you. So, if you'll please introduce yourself, we would love that.
Of course. My name is Taylor, pronouns he, him. I've been working at IPR for about a year now, mostly in the warehouse, but because of just the weird nature of IPR, doing anything and everything to help out around the place. I've been involved in tabletop role-playing games for about 20 years now, even written a couple of my own, and really enjoy it.
Awesome. Thank you. So glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Hi, my name is AC, pronouns they, them. I am the social media and special projects manager at Indie Press Revolution. The little rapscallion you keep spotting behind me is Cowboy Jack Spades, pronouns he, him. And my guest star also might be Midnight Marks, who might show up at some point, pronouns also he, him. They're currently running circles around my room, so if you see me looking at stuff, it's because they're trying to knock everything over that I own.
They are working tirelessly for you right now.
Yes,
they know this is entertainment.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, it's certainly entertaining to me at least. So.
Some of you who are our regular watchers and maybe watched a lot of our Let's Play Final Fantasy VII with voice acting stream may recognize Taylor Hubler from the comments.
Yeah.
He watched a lot and gave a lot of really cool, interesting comments going on. So if you hear us on the playbacks and hear us talking to Taylor Hubler, this is his face. This is who we're talking to.
I love that. This is his face. Perfect.
So let's talk TTRPGs. There are a lot of long form TTRPGs. People are familiar with like Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons and really big names that you can play a shorter version of, but they're usually made to play super long form, like several year-long campaigns. We just finished a 3-year campaign this past Wednesday. You know, but some people are really intimidated by these long form campaigns and systems that are really crunchy and have thick books and really hard to understand. But there's a variety of so many amazing role-playing games made by independent makers, sold by Indie Press Revolution, that can be longer form, shorter form, and we want to hear the amazing things that you guys have to offer.
So, is there one we'll throw like a gateway sort of game out right now? Is there a sort of super simple, very easy to pick up, not very crunchy game that we could show? There we go.
Zoom in on that, like bring it closer.
There you go. Okay.
Raccoon Sky Pirates. Tell us about this game.
First off, great title.
So good. Yeah.
Great title.
Oh yeah. Do you want to start? Or do you want me to start, AC?
I could start, but you should definitely talk about it because we've played it together.
Oh, yeah.
We do have a game night at the office, and so we tried to sort of go through, right, as many of the games that we have in stock as we can, but it's a never-ending list. But Raccoon Sky Pirates is definitely one of our favorites. It's all madcap fun. You're playing as literal raccoons who have built a skyship out of trash, and you are traveling across the sort of suburbs of the city that you live in order to find a house and break into it and steal more trash. Though, of course, to a raccoon, everything is trash. So you're just sort of
Everything is
stealing
trash,
anything. Yeah, you can get your little tiny hands on. And I love it. It's so easy to set up that we actually had one night that we played it at the office where we played it with our general manager, Jason, his kids, who had never even played a role-playing game before.
Kid-friendly
and they were able to pick it up. Yeah,
Well, they were
easy.
they're adults.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Adult kids. Yeah.
This is a kid-friendly game. We're talking about 19, 20, 21-year-olds that had never played an RPG before. Katie's, I think, boyfriend, not quite fiance at the time, now fiance.
Now fiance, yeah.
Like, how do I accurately portray his background without? He's not a gamer. Okay, he's played a bit of Magic the Gathering, but that was about it. Like, he doesn't really even play. Well, he plays Skyrim, and like that's kind of his experience, but never any tabletop games, not even really even board games. And he took to this really well. Like, I was very surprised with like, he's like, oh, cool, so I can do whatever I want these sorts of games. Like, yeah, he's like, cool. Does this house have a garage with like a Mustang in it? We're like, he can now. And he goes, all right, cool. I want to steal the hot rod. I want to steal the Mustang. So his raccoon ended up going on like a Fast and Furious style adventure in a classic Mustang, with the gun that he stole off a police officer. So yeah.
Amazing.
That is
really
so fun. Now this system, is it do you need dice for it? Do you need paper for it?
So the box set, there's two ways you can get this game. You can get it off of itch.io at the Hectic Electron. Hectic Electron is HECTIC and then Electron on their itch.io page, and you can get it. I don't know how much it is there, but it comes with all of the materials you'll need in the PDFs minus the dice, and it does give you a conversion chart to turn a regular playing card deck into the cards that you'll need for the rest of the game. Yeah. So in the box set that we sell, in fact, I think I can open this up. So this is the old version. This is actually not the revised version, but I can still show off what we have here because it's pretty much the same. You have a deck of cards. This is the deck of complications, and I'll explain that in a quick moment.
Nice. You gotta have conflict.
And the only other die that you need is a 12-sided die. And what I like about this 12-sided die, I don't know if you can really see it, but the font, every single number is a different font, which is kind of chaotic. And and then the 12 is a raccoon.
Naturally.
So, and then the revised version comes with wonderful loose leaf papers of the different materials that you're going to need. So you can easily just go and get those copied. You don't have to worry about getting that like print with the book that, you know, you've stretched open and it looks awkward. Like, you can actually make it look nice if you wanted to.
Nice.
So how you play this game, just real quick, your character sheet on it is going to have a chart. And on that chart is the list of actions that your raccoon is going to do. Now, what's interesting about this game is you don't choose the action that your raccoon is going to do. The dice does it for you. You choose the approach. You have a list of 3 approaches, and it could be what was it? Smart, suave, or daring, or something like that, right?
Oh my god.
Different character sheets will have different sets of approaches depending. Like, what was yours, AC? Yours was
Oh, you mean mine for Rabies Eddie, my favorite character ever in the world?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe it is aggressive, YOLO, or I don't know. I can't remember the last one. I
Yeah,
don't know.
something like
I
that.
have many pictures of the character sheets
Oh,
because
that's
I love a
amazing.
little bit of method acting.
Yeah.
And so when I play Rabies Eddie, I like to really make sort of an art piece out of the character sheet and you just sort of rip
It
off
ends up looking
corners.
like Rabies Eddie's not on it.
Oh my god,
That's
this sounds like
fantastic.
so much fun. I
Yeah.
cannot wait to play this game.
So you pick your
Fantastic.
approach, you roll your dice, and your
Yeah.
dice is going to pick the action that your character takes. If the action matches the approach that you were trying to go for, you have a success.
Okay.
If it doesn't, you have a failure.
So
you
if
need to
you're
figure out
trying
how
to-
to explain. Yeah.
So
go
if
ahead.
you're trying to like YOLO and then
Uh-huh.
it says that you're sneaking into somewhere, then
Yes.
it wouldn't necessarily match.
Right, you'd need
That's
to
correct. That's
I
correct.
see.
narrate, justify how it works,
Or it just does
Yes,
isn't.
and-
or
a
it doesn't
success.
go off.
And the actions, yes, and the actions. I'm going to see if I can find. Oh, here we go. So not only do you have the approaches attached to the actions, you actually have descriptions of the actions. So, for
Oh.
example, give another animal the trash they need, or have the perfect trash you need. Is sneaky, sensitive, and YOLO. So that would work for all three. But if you only wanted to be YOLO and you rolled make contact with the local raccoons, that's sneaky. That's not YOLO. So now you have to go, well, like my character got distracted, and instead of being like YOLO, I decided like, oh yeah, my buddy's over here. Let's talk to him, and so you just start role playing that out. Now,
That's so fun.
if you
I see.
fail, you have to mark something on the, I think it's called the disaster track. I would have to go through the rules to make sure I'm right on that. You can, if you get too far down the disaster track, your airship explodes.
Yeah.
You don't die because you're raccoons. You survive anything.
Right.
But like that's the end of the game. You just scamper off to the junkyard to make another airship. What these complication cards do is allow you to play a complication so that you don't have to mark something off on that track. And these cards have complications, like for example, by the way, they do have safety tools. So they have an X card here. For those that
Good.
it's important.
Good.
So most of the interior doors are locked. So you're gonna have that complication to deal with. Or I think another one was a rival trash animal gang is in the area now. So like
Damn pigeons.
it adds
Possums.
Yeah. We actually went against the possums at one point and
That's
took over their
amazing.
airship. So yeah.
Yes.
And
You just have to wait for them all to play dead, and then you can grab their airship. And
Yeah,
just
exactly.
just throw them off. Yeah. So this game makes a really great one shot. So if you're looking for something that you can just throw down and get set up, I think we got set up in about 10 minutes. Start playing, and I think it only took us at most 3 hours to get through one session. So it's a pretty
Okay.
quick game. It's easy to set up. And what I also really like about it is if you really enjoyed it, it does have like one page of rules of how to continue your adventure. Like how do you progress so that as you play, like you actually feel like things are actually happening, So the next time you go out and get trash, you'll have maybe a little bit more more abilities to use or to play with. So it's good.
Cool. And
Oh my
you can take the same characters and make it more of a short form over a few weeks or a few months
Yes,
or
yeah.
whatever, but it doesn't
Mhm.
Of
have
course.
to be that. Got it.
Exactly.
Love
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Very
You can-
cool.
Yeah,
That
you can
one-
take the
that one
same
is super
character. Rabies Eddie has been my ongoing character for every game of Raccoon Sky Pirates I've played because
That's
he's the
amazing.
best.
Well, I mean, I feel
So it's like the ongoing stories of Rabies Eddie and whatever new friends he meets this week.
from your point of view,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
And I think
Yeah,
mine,
great.
I think
Yeah.
the character I've always played is Brisket Jack, who is a swashbuckling raccoon.
Good.
And then there was Teresa XXL, or something like that.
Oh yeah, they're all fantastic. And I mean, you
Yeah.
can change the names, but with a name like Rabies Eddie, why would you want to?
And he does. I believe it's a he. I think it's a Carl is the name of the creator. Anyways, they have included character sheets for possums, pigeons, and cockroaches. So if you decided you wanted to do a mixed mixed crew, you could do that.
Love it.
Nice.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
who doesn't want to? I feel like a raccoon in my normal life.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yes,
So this is
you.
perfect. I would want to like ask for a like a magpie version. That would be great, because I'm definitely a magpie. We've talked about this already, so that would be fun.
Well, the creator's been extremely responsive to me and my questions on itch.io, so maybe go poke them over there and see.
Yeah,
sweet.
It's fantastic,
amazing.
So we've had a little bit of chaos. We've had a little bit of fun. I know a lot of people that I play with, they really like very epic storytelling. Things that are extremely high fantasy, or they are like sweeping kind of stories that can be made. Do you have anything that might fit that category? I don't know.
AC, you want to grab this one?
Sure. I mean, we have one called Against the Dark Master. So I moved I'm gonna say a couple months ago, and I've, unpacked the essentials. But not any of my games. So I don't have props. But
then that's not essentials. What are you doing?
I just looked around to see if I have that one near me. I don't.
But it is okay. Like a lovely, like, if you're looking for Tolkien fantasy, Against the Dark Master is that. You'll get exactly that. Like, one of the things I really love about indie tabletop role-playing games is that there is a emphasis on sort of genre emulation. You're looking at games that are covering like very specific niches, right? And Against the Dark Master is 100% just Tolkien all the way through. You're gonna have grand, high fantasy campaigns set in this like deep world, because it's a game that the creators had been playing. They like homebrewed another TTRPG into oblivion, to the point where it was just their full own thing. So you're playing in the world that they've created over years and years. Wow. And it's just like it's fantastic, and I wish I had the book somewhere, because the artwork in it is beautiful as well. But yeah, I think if you're looking for grand, like high sweeping fantasy, that's gonna be it.
Against the Dark Master.
Yeah. And what sort of system is it? Is it like a D20 system or
dice, cards?
Yeah, it's a D20 system. It does some fun stuff with magic. I can't remember the specifics of, but yeah, D20 system in general. And it is very like, you're gonna have your character sheet, you're gonna have, paper and pen and a couple dice.
Very cool.
Sweet.
I do have one here that might fit that description as well.
Okay,
cool.
Actually, I got two. So
I'm
just
loving your shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
It's really good.
Okay, let me show off the shirt real quick.
Yeah, fashion check.
So this is a shirt. Where am I in frame? There we go. My wife got this for me for Christmas. However, I have another shirt that I specifically wanted to wear.
I see that one too.
Yes. Oh, that's
so
awesome.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Taylor has all the best shirts.
I woke up. Yes, I collect shirts like this. So, okay. Anyways, so this right here is Sword and Serpentine.
Yeah.
I have not played it, but I do know that it goes off of the Gumshoe. Let me just double check. I'm making sure. Yes, this goes off of the Gumshoe rule set. I don't know exactly how it plays because I haven't played Gumshoe yet. It's on our list to get through with our weekly games.
Everything.
But if you want intrigue, if you want more of an investigation, like there is action in this. There is like, swashbuckling and swords and like high fantasy combat. But if you're like, there's a deeper mystery going on in this kingdom and we have to discover it. Gumshoe is great for this. Gumshoe is actually a system that is built around mysteries and solving crimes, solving questions and things like that. Because it was original, if I remember correctly, it's originally a Cthulhu-based game.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah. So
and this is like the high fantasy version of that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it does a couple things that allow players to have all the tools that they need. Yeah. There's a little bit of that in here too. Yeah. So like one of the issues that comes with mystery games is how the characters get their hands on the clues. It's kind of frustrating as a GM to have all these answers, and then like they just keep rolling ones or really low on their like insight or knowledge or their perceptions, and they're like,
you learned nada.
You learned nothing. So,
or if you want to GM and you want to GM a mystery, but you're really worried about like, I can't come up with all these like clues and stuff. This helps you figure that out. So it's a very GM friendly system.
It is. It's a very GM friendly system.
So if you want to GM, but you've been afraid to.
Looking at you, friends.
Wet your feet with this system.
GM, your friends will thank you.
Right. And then I saw this on my shelf. I'm like, you know what? Everybody wants a fantasy game. I think AC knows exactly.
I do.
It's Pugmire.
Pugmire,
so good.
I'm already loving the name. Tell us about Pugmire.
All right, AC, take this one, AC.
Well, hold on. You have to talk about Pugmire because I have to talk about its sister book, Monarchies of Mal.
Oh, okay.
So you should talk about Pugmire, though.
So, I actually know very little about Pugmire.
Oh no! Do you want me to talk? I know the system and everything, but I will say, I know the original system.
Let's get something out of the way, just real quick here. We have hundreds of games.
Yes.
I've only been working here for a year, and even though I did play a lot of indie RPGs before I started working here, it has been a lot. So I've had to cherry pick. I know that Pugmire is a game that I want to play, but we're gonna come up against this during this interview a few times. Of like, I know this is a great game. I just can't tell anything about it because I haven't been able to read it yet. So, anyways, go ahead, AC.
Oh yeah, I mean and I will note, so Monarchies of Mal and Pugmire do use the same system, but it is an old system now because they are currently kickstarting the new edition of Pugmire, which is OGL free. So it's going to be a little bit different. But the one that I played was Monarchies of Mal. I actually ran it, and it's set in the same world as Pugmire. So it is a world that is like post-human, where the dogs and cats have become anthropomorphic-ish, and they have now become the dominant species. There are also like mice in like secret societies and stuff, but you have it's these. When I played it, it was a D20 system. You had your usual stats and everything, but the thing I love about it so much is the world building is fantastic. Like I made hey buddy, my cat's really trying to decide if he wants to come over.
Well, he
for
wants
this
to play this.
Pugmire.
He wants to play this game.
Dogs and cats
I know.
are in Pugmire.
Just looking through it real quick as we're talking, I can see that it looks very similar to Dungeons and Dragons. So this actually looks like it would be an easy step if you wanted to move away from Dungeons and Dragons.
D&D, very cool.
Got you. Cool.
Yeah. But you have sort of, hey buddy, here, can I show your face for my video stream?
Oh, the hero of Pugmire, everyone.
Thank you, buddy. So yeah, you're in this world that is specifically post-human, and so when you're playing Pugmire, you're playing as a type of dog, and your creeds and everything are actually centered around sort of the mythos of the humans that used to be there, who are sort of like your gods and stuff. So if you're playing as like a cleric dog, you're going to be worshiping the teachings of a human,
The
which
people
is
who
really
used to
cool.
leave the food out for you and clean up your poo.
Yes, yes.
Versus if you're playing in Monarchies of Mao, you are, playing as a cat, and they are much more like, they have clans that are very specific. They have their own teachings that are more like, I can't believe these humans messed up so bad that now the oceans are acid, which is the thing. Like, the oceans are acid, and you have to travel across in boats made of plastic, and it's so good. And we had a really wonderful time playing it in the office before Taylor's time here, and I was able to make like a whole little island in the sea, and they had a lovely little contained adventure, and it was super easy to run, and it's just fantastic. Like, for the miniatures, I bought like a really cheap bag of just little plastic cats, and everybody drew their specific markings and like armor on them. I was just such a good time. I love it so much, and I'm really excited to see what they're doing with the Kickstarter that's going on right now, and how they've changed the system so that it's no longer OGL. I think it's going to be really fantastic.
That's super exciting.
Very, very cool. Awesome. So, I know a lot of games require dice, require all of these things, and some people, I don't know why, but they're not dice goblins. And they don't have or want to have like a Bailey bag of dice. Is there any games that don't necessarily like exactly? Yes.
Yeah.
We know we have them, but there are friends that are like, the dice thing isn't necessarily for me. Is there a game that might not require as many dice or no dice at all?
Oh, yeah. This is my favorite category, but Taylor, do you have one you want to talk about first?
I was going to mention For the Queen.
Yes.
I don't have my copy of it right here.
got a
We
copy.
have a copy.
Yes,
this is one of our favorite games. It's so compact, we can just take it in our bag anywhere, and we always have, like, we're going to bring it when we go to Disneyland in a few days, because you're just standing in line for hours. You can play a role-playing game while you're just standing in line.
It's gorgeous. It's such a beautiful game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's For the Queen is one of the ones that I always recommend to people who are like, maybe they've played Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, or maybe they've never played a tabletop role-playing game at all. And I think For the Queen is really fantastic. It's one of the first ones that I played because I sort of got put into TTRPGs indie end first. So
yay.
Yeah, For the Queen was one of the very first ones I ever played, and it just does a really fantastic job of not hand-holding exactly, but the mechanics are mainly that it uses leading questions in order to help the players build the character of who your queen is and who your characters are as her entourage, by just answering questions about sort of the experiences you've had with her. And then the end of the game, as you guys know, is a card that says, the queen is under attack, do you defend her? And you just sort of go around and all say yes or no, and that's the end of it. So you've spent this whole time creating who the queen is, so that at that end you're able to decide what your character does. And it's just so neat and clean, and I really love it. I think it's a fantastic game.
One of the things I love about the game is you can kind of change how long the game is as to that rose card, as it is the will you defend the queen card, depending on where you put it in the stack of questions, determines whether it's a shorter game or if it's a longer game. We played this first at a local gaming convention where we met you, with two other
players. There's
two other friends. There was 4 of us. We are all very theater people, very theater people. we took this game. If you're a theater person, do this game because it's great for people who aren't theater because it has those leading questions. But if you are
if you really
lean into your characters and love the RP, it basically can just be like really fun scenes where you can find out a bunch of information. And
reset the Queen is Under Attack Rose card for
probably
like 30 minutes.
30 minutes, like
yes,
like halfway through.
We played for 3 hours
later.
Yep. We couldn't stop. We had so much fun.
It was so funny too because we were at a gaming convention. There's people walking around, and we are sitting at the table fully in character, being like, "I can't believe you did that," you know, just completely involved in the game, not thinking about anything else, and did not realize that the 3 hours had passed.
I love that you don't need paper, you don't need pencil, you don't need dice. All you need is this deck of cards, and you can go super hardcore. We did a mini series where we did one, and we ended up realizing, oh, this is a prequel to 3 other things with 3 other queens, and it was this huge warring faction between all of them. And we did a mini series of like 4 different sessions that each lasted for like 4 hours, and it was epic. It was super cool. So you can go super hardcore and long form with it. You can go super RP with it, or you can just let it be a conversation game if you're not really into like being the character, but you love telling the story. You can just narrate what happened without getting in character, and it can be 30 minutes or an hour and it's done. You know, I love that it's so versatile that way, and it's so simple and elegant. I love this game.
And the queens, there's so many different
beautiful art
types and styles,
diversity
of queens in there that is like primo.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. You guys basically said everything I was going to say about For the Queen. But another game that comes to mind, who doesn't have a Jenga tower like these days in their game collection, right? Like I grew up and my grandmother had a collection of games, and she had Uno cards and she had Jenga. She always had those 2 things. Well, there's a game that I consider to be hands down the best horror RPG out there right now, and that is Dread. Dread is a game that uses, I believe it does use pencil and paper for your character creation, but it uses a Jenga tower as the resolution mechanic. So as your characters are going through the horror story that you're going through, you're pulling bricks off of the Jenga tower. And if you pull it, it doesn't fall. So if you pull a brick and it doesn't fall, you're successful. You get the thing done. But the horror that is haunting you, that is hunting you, that is there in the background is always present. And so as your characters get an understanding of what is going on, the reason why I call this the best horror game out there is you, the players, have a visceral experience seeing this tower get more and more and more closer to falling over. You maybe see it lean, you might see it move. You can see that the base is crumbling, and when it falls over, if you're the one that was pulling the block, you die. Your character dies. And
this sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Now we don't carry it right now at IPR because it's out of print. I believe they're working on a second edition.
It's getting so they are working on a second edition. They're working on a second edition, and before the second edition comes out, because that's going to be in a while, we are getting a restock soon.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
And
there was
when
a lot of questions behind that. So
when we do,
does IPR have a social media that people can follow to get updates?
Oh, we do. We have.
Sweet.
Sorry, Cowboy is he wants attention so bad. So we have our Facebook, which is just Indie Press Revolution. We have our Mastodon, which is IPR at I think it's dice.camp at IPR. And then our Tumblr, which is Indie Press Revolution, and our Instagram, which is indiepress_rev.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So Dread is a very simple game. I've ran it a few times. I did actually, we did a really interesting thing for one of my long-term play groups. We were doing a Star Wars RPG with the Fantasy Flight Star Wars system.
Mm-hmm.
And to take a break, we did individual one-shots of character backstory. And I ran my character's backstory through Dread. Now, like, we knew my character was going to survive, so everybody played characters that could potentially die in that, to kind of show that, like, he had been through some pretty horrific things. And it was a great session. One of the characters, one of the mechanics that's important to keep in mind is, if you decide to go out heroically, you can just push the tower over and you succeed in the most heroic way possible, but your character still dies, right?
That's amazing.
And so we had somebody do that in the Star Wars game. They pushed it over and they went out heroically, but then they came back in the long-term Star Wars campaign that we were playing, and they were they were a bad guy.
Go, Obi-Wan.
Because they got corrupted. They got corrupted by the thing that they took out. Yeah. And so my character, my Star Wars character, was like crawling under a table going, he can't be alive, guys. Why is he in this room? He can't be alive. And they're like, what is going on? And he's like, I need to get out of here right now.
Wow.
So it's so highly recommend Dread. It honestly is on my like top 5 RPGs that you should own, and at least read. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and on
Amazing.
the opposite side of that, but still using a Jenga tower, is one of my favorite games, which is Star-Crossed. And Star-Crossed is, it uses the same mechanics. So you have a Jenga tower that you're pulling pieces from, but rather than it being horror, you're telling the tale of 2 lovers who cannot be together for whatever reason, right? And so as you're pulling pieces from the tower, once it falls, that's when you've been discovered. And, for whatever reason, you can no longer be apart, like, together ever again. So it has that same feeling of tension. And just in a lovely, tragic way. It's fantastic.
Can you play Star-Crossed and can you set it in any setting?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Any era.
Because you know what I'm thinking, right?
Well, Romeo and Juliet.
No, I'm thinking a Regency era game that has that would be Star-Crossed.
I'm also thinking like, queer, like
that too,
just like back in the days where it was even more dangerous to be out and
and
too close to home for some people, man.
I don't have Star-Crossed here. It's one of the games that I want to play with my wife at some point because it's a 2-player game. And
really?
Yes, it's a 2-player game.
Those are great. There's not many of those.
I don't like playing romantic games with other people, so my wife is really the only person I'm going to end up playing Star-Crossed with. But the artwork on the box actually suggests itself various spectrums of genre. Like they have like a scientist and an AI looking thing. It has an alien and a human. It has, I think, like a couple royal, like a queen and her handmaiden or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But the artwork itself suggests that it can cover a wide variety of different stories along that line. So.
Okay, so
cool.
This is bringing me to another thing. You said that it's a 2-player game, and that excites me because there's so many people that couples or whatever that just live with them and one other person in their household, couples that want to play together, and they don't necessarily have a lot of time to go out and play with a bunch of people. And maybe they do, but if you want to have an at-home game night with just 2 people, is there a role-playing game that the 2 of you can play together without having to have a whole group of people? Do you have any more 2-player role-playing games?
Absolutely. AC? I think you'll be better to tackle this one.
Sure, yeah. We have a bunch. We actually have, if you go on the Indie Press Revolution website, indiepressrevolution.com, we have a section that is just our 2-player games. And we have quite a few because there was a thing that happened a couple years ago. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but it really made a lot of people confined to their homes. And so we saw a huge swath of 2-player and single-player games come out in the past couple of years. So one of my favorites is I Have the High Ground, where you are playing a duel, but it's before the fighting starts and you're just passing insults like at each other. And so it's who has the emotional high ground, right?
Yeah.
And it's like Cyrano de Bergerac.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, you're also building the backstory of like what led to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, and I don't have that one in front of me, but I can tell you the artwork has exactly the scene you would think of.
Yes, it does.
When you hear I Have the High Ground.
That's brilliant.
It's really fantastic. You use a combination of tokens and dice, I believe. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. This is, again, one of the things. We got in, I believe we currently have just over 600 different games, 200 of which we got in the past year. Wow. So as familiar as I am with them, because I read every game that comes to us, I've read all of them, and therefore I remember some details about all of them.
Right.
But it does come, we have the zine, and then we also have the premium set, which comes with like everything you need to play it in this lovely bag. And you get like the special dice that have the little emblem on them, and you get a lovely coin, and it's super fun. Yeah, we have a bunch besides that. I don't know. Do you have any you want to talk about, Taylor?
I don't have any other 2-players. I was going to bring up, we have a variety of single-player games.
Bring those up too.
Including one of our best sellers is 1,000-Year-Old Vampire.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard of that one.
Yes. Yeah. So 1,000-Year-Old Vampire, beautiful book. Highly recommend getting the physical copy because it's a gorgeous piece of just, I want to say art, but also literature. What you're doing is, as you're going through the book, you're going through different ages. You are a vampire. Well, let's cover that first of all. You're playing a vampire, and it's a diary game. So as you're going through the book, you're writing diary and journal entries for the various eras that you lived through. And as you're going through those eras, the book is presenting with you different scenarios and things that pop up throughout your life. That like, does that change anything? Did you do anything before to prep for this and that sort of thing? It's I haven't been able to play it myself yet because I've been a bit busy, but it's on that list of like I gotta sit down and go through this at some point because it looks like a great and I think it's from what it looks like a long form single player because there's a lot of material in there.
So speaking of props, here's one thing I do actually have, which is my journal that I play all my single player journaling games in. So I have my sort of playthrough of 1,000-Year-Old Vampire here. And I've played through it a couple times, so I've got that one, and then I've also got my one that I did in green.
Oh my gosh.
So you don't write in the book itself, you write in a separate journal, so you have replay value.
It depends on how brave you are.
All those people out there that have been collecting journals and going, hey, one day I'll use this. We have a use for that.
Yeah.
Go.
And I think 1,000-Year-Old Vampire is a really fantastic one because, I mean, one of my favorite games of all time is not one that we actually carry because it's only available in PDF, but it's called Healer. You can find it on itch.io. Oh, I believe the person who made it, I know their first name is Tamsin. I don't remember their itch.io, but if you look up Healer in physical games, you'll find it. And it's lovely, it's fantastic. You use like tarot cards to build the world of your, person who literally has healing powers and talk about your journeys as you like travel with different adventuring groups. And that's really lovely, but it is sort of like you have creative writing prompts that you're answering versus 1,000-Year-Old Vampire that does have some mechanics to it. You have inventory management. So as you are getting older, you can only hold 5 memories at a time, like 5 of your experiences. And you get older and older and you have more experiences, you have to decide which ones you want to keep and which ones you want to get rid of. And you can also like keep diaries, but those are physical objects that can get lost or destroyed. And so you're really telling this story of like who your vampire becomes as they continue to live on past anyone they've ever known. It's really fantastic. I've told a lot of I've played it several times and it's always great.
Yeah.
So high replayability right there.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. You as soon as you held up your book, I was like, it's like bullet journaling in a game. It's so great.
Oh yeah, and you can see like let me open this back up. Like I have written over things. I've like taped things in here to write over previous memories. I've like scratched stuff out that doesn't exist to me anymore.
Plus there's like a physical like ephemeral thing afterwards, which is really cool.
Yeah,
so you can remember. That's very
cool.
A
record of the game.
Yeah,
there's an interesting thing that happens with tabletop role-playing games that you're definitely seeing here with this game, and that is you by playing physical, like at the tabletop role-playing games, you are creating physical artifacts that you can choose to discard or you can choose to like keep with you. Like I have whole folders and binders from when I was in middle school of characters that I created. I have painted miniatures that I have done. And so like this is actually one of like the really cool things about especially Thousand Year Old Vampire, but a lot of these journaling games is you are creating a like an artifact that you can physically handle as you're like after you play the game. You can always go back and look at that and see and like remember that experience, or use it to share it with other people. So yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell us some more games. I know that you guys must have several that you really want to share. Show us some of those.
One of your favorites.
I have 3 sitting right here, but I think AC, let's see. AC, do you want to do one and then I do one and we trade off?
Sure. I can talk about, if we want to talk about more single player and in fact 2-player games, Possible Worlds games has a box set which has all of these lovely little they're not zines exactly, they're zine sized though, but they are spiral notebook shaped. Yeah. Okay. And there's a couple games in there. Dating.sim is one where you're playing a person who's falling in love with a robot. And that's 2-player, I believe. And then there's Grandpa's Farm, which is an epistolary game. And that means that you're literally writing letters to each other in character. And that one is like, if you love Stardew Valley, it's that. Like you're playing through the seasons, you're playing through the festivals, and that is anywhere. Like you can do that 1-player, 2-player, 3-player, up to I don't know if it has a limit, but I assume like 4-ish people. And so that's really fantastic. So the box set has 6 of these games in it that have a wide variety of like genres and player amounts, and they're all really fantastic. So I always recommend that. And then I think Taylor, if you want to go.
Oh no, I was gonna yes, but before I move on, like the 2 that stood out to me from that particular box set are Single Unique Power, which is kind of a oh darn, I don't know anime very well. Maybe Naruto. What's the superhero
Shonen?
one? That's the kids. They're in the superhero school. Hero Academia.
Oh, My Hero Academia.
Yeah, like that. That looks like it kind of falls into that. And then Hounds, which is a mecha game where you're trying to figure out what happened to like your old partner, which is kind of cool. So yeah. So I've got a few games right here. I'm going to start off with so we have a variety of what's called Powered by Apocalypse games. Powered by Apocalypse is a game mechanic system that started with actually right here. Started with Apocalypse World. I'm not going to talk about this game too much, other than it's a post-apocalyptic game that really kind of set the bar, but also introduced a certain mechanic to storytelling, and a little bit of crunchy types of games. Great game. Do recommend it, but I don't know if we have the time for me to really dive into too many. So I just wanted to say this is a foundation. So this is the game I would actually recommend for people that want to get an experience of what Powered by the Apocalypse is without some of the weird mechanics and things that are in Apocalypse World. Apocalypse World has a sex mechanic, and it's kind of part of the game in a way. So it's another reason why I'm not necessarily introducing it, because you got to be okay with that. Not everybody is okay with that. But professional wrestling is
I'm thinking of a specific friend of ours who's totally into wrestling right now that plays RPGs with us. He would love this game.
Yeah. So you have a Venn diagram of RPG players and professional wrestling fans, and that center section is pretty it's pretty big. What I really like about this game is not only does it introduce you to the Powered by Apocalypse mechanics and like ease you into it, this is a game that also has various essays in the back. So if you're like me, who knows nothing about professional wrestling, but want to play this game, it explains that to you. About 5 years ago, this is the second edition. I ran the first edition about 5 years ago for my birthday. And I know nothing about professional wrestling. And something about this game grabbed me, and I was like, I got to run this. And so I ran it. This game does not, when you roll the dice, you're not rolling to see if you hit the guy, or if you get hurt or anything like that. The game is all about selling the story and the moves that you're making to the audience.
Yes.
So when you roll the dice, you're trying to see if you were able to sell what's going on, like to the people that are watching it.
Got you.
Yeah, and it introduces you to all the terms like kayfabe, or I don't know if I said that right. But so all those concepts. And when I ran it, it was a blast. All my friends that were playing knew professional wrestling, and they played the wrestlers. And I as like the GM and the announcer, just kind of played very straight, like, oh yeah, so like these two guys are going in the ring tonight. It seems like really things are nice and tense, and oh man, like he's really giving it his all there. It's like throwing himself from the ring and all that. Whereas like they knew how to like talk the language and describe the things and really be the characters.
Wow.
And it worked out really, really well. So if you don't know professional wrestling and something like this is grabbing you, like, don't worry about it. Like, this game will walk you through it and actually help you with it. But it also teaches, as I said, it teaches the Powered by Apocalypse system really well. And I think it's very accessible. Wonderful, wonderful game. And if you're looking for something that's not fantasy, for a single session, this is great. So
yeah. Very cool. Very cool. I'm loving that. And with the Powered by Apocalypse system, are you needing any sort of dice or anything else? Okay.
Yes. If AC, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you need 2d6.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay. That's correct. Yeah, you just need two 6-sided dice. You will need paper and pencil. There's character sheets to fill out. And it's a very narrative system. So when you roll the dice, you aren't just deciding on if there's success or failure. There could be additions to that. Like, you have a success, but there's a complication that pops up. And so now you've also got to deal with that complication, or you failed with the complication, or you just failed, or you succeeded, but you have like an additional thing that happens that's also really good. So it's very, it's kind of very cool how the system is able to take two 6-sided dice and do that spectrum of success. So yeah.
And the game is called World War Wrestling?
Worldwide Wrestling. Worldwide Wrestling, 2nd edition. Yeah.
Very nice.
So, and the other thing about Powered by Apocalypse games is it gives players a little bit of agency over the storytelling in the world. Nice. Several of the Powered by Apocalypse systems will allow players to have powers that let them say, okay, now this thing exists. So, specifically in Worldwide Wrestling, the guy that's running the game, the announcer, the storyteller, at the end, like says, "All right, guys, I've this is not only the lineup for tonight, but this is who we're marking to win." But the players have some ability to change that. You know, Hulk Hogan, for example, in real life, was actually known to go, "No, I know you're telling me I'm going to lose. I'm just not going to give up until everybody else does." And they say, "Okay, fine, you win." You know, so they have a little bit of that in Worldwide Wrestling as well.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Super great.
Got another one?
Yeah, AC, or do you want me to go to my
I'm
next
sure they've
one?
got plenty.
I know.
I've got so many.
Unless you have specific like questions.
My question is, like I said earlier, I have a lot of friends. They're very theater people. We are a very high role playing group. Is there any other games that is extremely role play heavy?
And then are there some that you
are more mechanic
or more narrative, less role play?
Yeah.
I've got a mechanical one for this.
Okay.
AC, do you have a non-mechanical one?
Oh yeah, I got those are my favorites as well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No.
I might have been setting up for.
You should talk about that one, and then I will talk about perhaps Wander Home, which is another one of my favorites.
Oh.
My sweet boy, please stop it.
Actually,
this is
you
the
guys
game
like
that
to
we
talk
bought
about
the
this
book
one?
for. I can't wait to play it.
Yes.
Do you guys know anything about this? Because I have to actually admit that I never played this.
Okay, so
I don't know how it works, but I know it is
from what I
narrative.
know, and there is like a whole like movie
sorry.
and everything with this.
Yeah, let's say the name of it for
Oh,
people
I can
that
tell
are
you.
having...
I can tell you about the movie. Also, next time we're together at a convention, we do need to sit down and play this together.
Yes,
So, yeah.
yes.
All right.
Extraordinary.
So, The Extraordinary Adventures of Baron Munchausen is a Terry Gilliam film that is actually one of my favorites because it is absolutely bonkers and wild and is just goes all over the place and keeps you guessing on whether or not the tale that is being told is true or not. There's an old man named Baron Munchausen who is claiming that he went to the moon and met the moon, the Moon King, and fell in love with the queen there, and gathered together a group of friends that have superpowers, and did all these like crazy things. And
Yes.
Like the only person in town in the movie that believes this is this little girl that's like, "You have to save us because the town is also under attack by an army." And the only person that she thinks can save the town is Baron Munchausen. It's up in the air until the end whether or not that's true or not. I won't spoil anything because it's a fantastic film. You should go see it. So this game is all about telling tall tales, but that's all that I actually know right now.
Yes. So it feels and reads. By the way, reading this is like reading its own book. It has such beautiful voice to what you need to know when you start playing the game. But you're right. It's about telling tall tales. And it is about... It's kind of... Think like a gentleman's club of adventurers,
like Regency.
Yes, yeah. Who get together, and it's very much the fish was this big kind of idea. And all of the other adventurers get to ask you questions, trying to poke holes in your story. And you have to keep making up
I did meet the tiger, and the tiger served me tea, and the tiger tiger stripes were teal and purple, and it was delightful.
Just keep making sure that it goes through. There's so many cool mechanics of how you can interrupt somebody's story and try and throw them off, but it's very much like, can I make the most outlandish story and still let it have its own feet, in a sense? Like, you're building a tower of cards that are barely staying up. Yeah. Please don't walk around and try and like blow it down. And save face in front of all of your adventuring friends. Which is why the the movie is like, this is so random and wild and so off point. That is the point, is the more outlandish you can be with and more eccentric you can be with your storytelling, the better.
It feels to me, and we haven't actually played it yet. We've just
I've been reading it.
Yeah, we purchased the book and we look forward to playing it. But it reads to me less of like a game where the goal is to win, and more just these are a series of prompts to get you into this role playing conversation to you know, to take time, and it's a pastime, really. And you're the goal is to laugh.
Yeah, it's an extremely chaotic, eccentric version of For the Queen, in my opinion.
Yes.
Whereas
we're trying to be very proper about the whole thing.
Yes.
Nothing is chaotic here. What are you talking about?
Whereas For the Queen gives you these beautiful leading questions, and everybody is pushing. Everybody is pushing to support and yes and anything that you're doing. Munchausen is everybody is trying to take and poke holes in your ship. You know, it's fantastic. It's so much fun. So I'm really excited to play that one for sure. And yes, we will definitely play it at the next convention for sure.
100%.
Mm-hmm. It's also one of the oldest, if not the oldest, role-playing games that's known.
Really?
Yeah. In a more like in a narrative sense, like, you know, wargaming and sort of D&D-esque games we know the history of, but yeah, Baron von Munchausen is considered to be the oldest narrative style of role-playing game.
Very cool.
That's
Very
awesome.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I can talk about Wanderhome, which I think a lot of people may know about, but if you're looking for actually, I know you're talking earlier about encouraging people to GM, which is very scary. I've been doing it more, and it's still very nerve-wracking. So we do actually have games that are GM-less. And one of the biggest systems for that, in the same way that you have Powered by the Apocalypse as a system, Belonging Outside Belonging is a system created by Avery Alder. For the game Dream Askew, Dream Apart, my cat is being so needy. I'm sorry. Every time I try and lift my hand up, he literally is grabbing it with his little tiny paws and putting it back on his head. But yeah, the Dream Askew, Dream Apart is a fantastic, it's 2 games in one. One is about a queer enclave sort of after the apocalypse, and the other one is about Jewish settlements during World War One, I think. So you have 2 stories about literally communities existing, you know, belonging outside the usual belonging. And it's a really wonderful GM-less system where you use tokens rather than like dice. And so your characters have strong moves, weak moves, and regular moves. And so in order to do a strong move, you have to spend a token, and to do a weak move, you gain a token. And then regular moves are something your character can do all of the time. And Wanderhome uses this system as well, but it's also this, I mean, first off, it's like all Belonging Outside Belonging games, really, but it is truly queer from the ground up. Like, Wanderhome is so deeply LGBT that it's just like comforting to play almost. And then it's also this lovely like pastoral fantasy world where you're playing as animal folk, and you are just wandering around. You are journeying through these lands. So with Wanderhome, one of the things with Belonging Outside Belonging, it's hi buddy, GM-less, because you take on the setting elements. So when you're setting up, you have your setting elements that you sort of put in the center of the table. And those can be things from like, you know, the literal city that you're in to like certain factions in the city, depending on which game you're playing. Don't open Spire just because I said factions. What do you- I see you. I see you down there. And
I'm just preparing for my next section. That's all.
With Wanderhome, you are actually creating the places you visit, well, as like part of the game. So, hey, Cowboy, if you want to be in the video, how about you be in the video, bud? Yeah, tasty
want to
microphone. Chomp,
Yeah.
chomp, chomp.
Cats are the best.
Goodness.
Shout out to cats, y'all.
Right.
Okay. So yeah,
I find it funny that anytime you talk about a game where you play an animal, you have an animal that has to be.
They know.
They know.
It's almost like they're
know.
intelligent or something.
Right.
Almost. I mean, I don't know. This guy's about 6 months old, so he's working on it.
He's working on it.
On it. But yeah, so you're in a world called the Haze, my guy, and as you wander around, you create the places you visit and you give them certain qualities, and then as you're visiting them, anybody at the table can pick up those qualities and play as them. Okay. Can I please? And it's just a really wonderful way to like sort of split up the usual GM responsibilities of being all of the NPCs and the world into, like, you know, if you want to say even just like as you're saying, you know, this dramatic speech, the wind starts blowing and the leaves fall from the trees to surround you, you can pick up that setting element and become that part of the world.
Nice.
And yeah, Wanderhome really, I think, uses the belonging outside belonging system in a fantastic way there. It's like, I know I keep saying every game is my favorite game, but this is one of my favorite games. With that.
Yeah.
I really love something that you get with a lot of these indie games is that someone develops a system and then other people are like, cool, I'm going to borrow that system and add different settings and slightly different things to it. But you're sharing each other's systems, and that's super cool.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about indie RPGs, I'm sorry, AC, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Is there is a big mindset of sharing culture with one another. A lot of the indie RPG creators like to use the Creative Commons license for at least the mechanics of their games. So like Blades in the Dark, or Forged in the Dark and Powered by Apocalypse, two very similar systems, both use Creative Commons, and it's why you have a lot of I remember that wrong. Powered by Apocalypse does not use Creative Commons, but they do have an extremely open license. So they allow these licenses allow creators to take those works and shape them however they want. And it's one reason why you have a lot of Powered by Apocalypse and Blades in the Dark systems, because people are able to do that. They don't have to worry about somebody coming after them for using their art, because the art's been shared, the culture's been shared. Because what is it like? What really is a tabletop RPG but a collaboration of people at the same table creating a story? So why should we actually? Why
wouldn't the meta of that
do this? Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So yeah,
very cool.
And it's the same with Belonging Outside Belonging. They have a very open license, and there's also like a ton. Itch.io is kind of the place to go if you're looking for PDF games nowadays, and on there you can find, including my own.
Hey,
including your own, including our own.
Yeah. Taylor, what's your itch.io username? Promote yourself.
I think it's Taylor Hubler. I think it is. I will.
I'm gonna look it up.
I feel really ashamed that I didn't prepare for that.
Speaking of cool games, Taylor has a cool game. It's called.
Yes,
what's it called? Tell me the name of it.
Oh, my actual game.
Yes.
It is Our Slimy Home.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that TaylorHubler.itch.io.
That is literally the most Taylor thing I've heard this whole time.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So our Slimy
Yeah.
Home is based loosely off of A Quiet Year and a few other similar games where you are building a story about an environment. But when I went to Big Bad Con in 2019, I was actually in quite of a slump. There was a lot of crap going on in my life, really, really depressing. I'm not going to share. I don't need to depress people by sharing exactly what was going on. But
You
I
followed it
was
up with 2020? Wow.
2020 was a great year for me, actually.
Wow.
Me
Okay.
too.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I got
Yeah,
hired at
20
IPR that year. It was awesome.
2020 was the year that my wife and I started fostering our son, which led to his adoption. And
Beautiful.
2020 allowed me to refocus and rethink and retool myself to. I didn't have a beard in 2019, actually.
And now
So
you
this is
do,
really
and it's
pivoting.
fabulous.
Yeah, and now I do. And yeah, thank you. Like in 2019, I was really questioning, like, do I want to continue making RPGs my life? Because I had been really trying to make them and do things, but there was a lot of stuff going on in my personal life that was holding me back. And so I went to Big Bad Con with this question of like, do I really want to keep doing this? It was like my last attempt to like figure myself out this way. And I played a lot of great games and ended up going, you know what? I'm going to make my own game and I'm going to get back into it. This is what I want to do. And so I created Our Slimy Home based off the games that I played there. And Our Slimy Home is a world building and map drawing game. So it's an art game. I really call it like an arts and crafts game because you sit down and you draw a map and you draw the pictures of the citizens that are in there and you write little stories about them. And there's lots of prompting, like open-ended prompts to like because you play dungeon masters that are supposed to be running the dungeon. So you're trying to create our slimy home. Like we're all together. We're all building this home together. And every time that I've played it, there's been a lot of like really fun comedic moments, but also a lot of like heartwarming stories that have come out of it. Like tales that are like you lose characters that you create, so it's like really sad. But also like the way that like you start telling the story of how the community rebuilds or comes up, to rise up above that tragedy. But it's also bittersweet in the end because, as I said, during this time of my life, I was going through a lot of really depressing things. A lot of really like heartbreaking things were happening in my life. And so the end of the game actually has a read aloud section that tells you, like, this is the end of the game. Like your dungeon master, the dungeon masters, have to leave your home. You're forced to leave your home. And you don't know how it's going to end up. You just have to hope that you set up that dungeon for success, that you left those denizens and those minions with the best possible tools and setup you can so that they can continue to like live and exist there. But you're gone. Like you can't, so yeah, it's I really love it. I've only sold about 100 copies. But like you gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And that's only because
Yeah.
of exposure. It's a fantastic game. Everybody should go check it out.
Yeah. I'm terrible at selling myself. I really am. But yeah, like I would love it if people went and checked it out. Taylor Hubler, taylorchubler.itch.io. Our slimy home. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. And you can find me at Grey Jade Games on itch.io. Come check it out. I have a couple of games up there, and you can talk to the wizard.
Talk to the wizard.
Talk to the wizard. Yes. So Grey Jade Games are games made by Cat Wizard's Bird Familiar, and so if you'd like to come talk to the wizard, you gotta come check them out.
Very cool.
But yeah, back to the point before I got distracted. There's so many good games on itch, but if you're looking for like systems, you can find those on there as well. And there's like Lumen and Caltrop Core, which is one of my favorites. It's like so easy to make games for. It's just a D4, and it's like 1 is fail, 2 is no but, 3 is like yes, and 4 is yes and. So it's super simple and fantastic. And there's tons of like SRDs and games like systems that you can make games for on there. And yeah, it's also one of my favorite things about the indie community is like the total attitude of like, not just sharing your systems and sharing everything, and helping each other out. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that.
Speaking of a system that is currently available for people to make stuff off of, the resistance system, which is used in Spire.
You told us about this one at the convention we met at.
I remember you talking about Spire.
So I specifically set this one aside because, like, I got to talk about Spire at some point during this. This is so if you're used to playing Dungeons and Dragons, but you want to try something else. It's like still kind of a fantasy setting and has some familiar tropes. Spire is a great place to go. Now it's very much a different system. Because the resistance system, you don't have like armor class or hit points or things like that. Your character doesn't leave the game because they're suddenly, at negative 20 HP and dead, and your party can't resurrect them. Your character's out of the game because you've pushed your luck so much that you have turned into an eldritch abomination that cannot exist in the world, or my favorite class, the Inksmith, which is a noir detective tale writer that has turned occultist, has accidentally written himself out of the world.
Oh my god!
So like, yes, yeah. So
it's really good.
Yeah. So like, there's stuff like that can happen in Spire. The resistance system, just to cover it real quick, you have things called resistances, and it covers like a list of things that your characters have like a resource of. So in Spire, it's blood, silver, shadow, occult, and a few other things. Like, so blood is like your health. Like, you actually can end up getting harmed enough that your character just physically dies. But that's not necessarily interesting, like, until you like look at how they frame it, because like a lot of the fallout that like causes your character that you take over the course of the game just causes your, like, gives you role play, like things to play with. And one of like the major fallout is like you die, but it gives you an interesting way that happens. So like you don't just shadow is like, are you trying, like, is how do you frame this? How well your character is staying out of the like the eyes and the light of the law. So like it's the underground. So like the major fallout that could end up knocking your character out of the game from shadow would be like the authorities send the SWAT team, and actually capture you and throw you in jail, and there's no way anyone can get you out. Occult is like one of their magic systems. Well, if you pushed your luck so far with occult that you get a major fallout that knocks your character out, that could be, as I said, you've written yourself out of the world.
Right.
Or you summoned a demon that has consumed you and taken your skin. And so now your character, like, the mind of your character is gone, but the physical, like a physical entity that looks like
still there. Yes.
Yeah. So like, and that, like, I am kind of talking about like late game, because this is a multi-session, like long form game, right? But I'm bringing this up specifically because, like, in Dungeons and Dragons, like, your character either gets killed in combat or they survive long enough to retire, right? Like, you either die the hero or live long enough to be the villain in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So Inspire, like, it gives you much more interesting ways to close the curtains on your character. Is like one of the things that intrigued me. But this game is so much more than that as well. So this is a urban fantasy. It's as I mentioned, a noir writer. Like, it very much feels like it's taking place not just in a fantasy world, but also kind of like the Roaring 20s is kind of the technology level that's happening in here.
Very noir urban fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. The Spire is a impossibly large city skyscraper spire that exists in this world, and it used to be owned by the Drow, the Dark Elves, but was recently is relative because these characters all have long lives, but it was somewhat recently taken over by the High Elves, who now rule over it. And you play resistance agents that want to undermine and take back the city for the Drow. Now, one thing that they make clear is unless you're going to play for a very long time and the GM has a very complicated, like multi-year story set up for it, you're never going to accomplish that task. The whole point of the game is to change the city in little ways. In fact, your character doesn't progress because they've picked up enough experience points. You progress because you've changed something in the city, like for good or for bad. And once that happens, then you get to pick like a new power. And the powers that your characters get to use are really, really fun. A lot of them give the player agency over the world and the story that's being told. Like for example, the Inksmith that I mentioned. Sorry, I'm pointing up because the book that the Inksmith is in is above me. Sorry. The Inksmith has a power called Man with a Gun, where you roll the dice, and if you're successful, someone with a gun walks into the room. They might not be friendly to you.
Really good.
You know, yeah. And then there's an advanced version of that power where the person that walks into the room is friendly to you. But that's a trope with noir tales, right? Where like something's happening, and a third party walks in with a gun, and like you don't know what's going to go on, right? So I was just looking up what some of the other powers are. The Icon, which is an artist, somebody who crafts art for a living. One of the major powers with that you can get is you craft a perfect piece of art of yourself, and your body is never marred. You never age, and like the
Dorian Gray.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so you got a lot of those wonderful tropes and things that happen there. So the resistance system is also found in the game Heart, which is a lot more about body horror and like being in a desperate situation that you put yourself in knowable danger to try to get yourself out of that desperate situation. But you're in whatever comes out of the heart of the spire is not what came in. And so how does your character change over time? So both games, absolutely fantastic. Beautiful artwork in both. And the world building writing in both Spire and Art is just some of the best out there. It is one of the few books that I've read cover to cover, RPG books that are this size, that I've read cover to cover, because like I never felt like never felt like the text was losing my attention, and there was always something to like kind of cool to think about as it was going on. So yeah, great game, fantastic.
Really, really good. Yeah. You reminded me also, talking about desperate people in desperate situations, a game that I do have out because we were just playing it is Gravemire.
Yes.
Yeah. Gravemire is a game set in the 1920s, 1894. I immediately flipped to the right page. Fantastic. 1894 in the Louisiana Bayou, and you are in a town called Scarstone that has gone through a terrible transformation known as the Convulsion. And so you are now surrounded in sort of the Martian bogs by just horrors. And so your characters are desperate people who have come to Scarstone for some reason, and there is a large emphasis on it's very much horror. Like, this is definitely a horror game. And the question is, why have your characters come here? Why do they stay here? Why do they keep, going out into the bayou to risk their lives constantly? And so the system is sort of two-part. You have when you have left Scarstone and when you're in Scarstone. And when you're outside of Scarstone, it's very dangerous. So it's 2d6, right, Taylor? Do you remember? Or is it a D12?
Gravemire uses a D12 and D8s, depending upon the situation. Yeah. I don't think it uses D6s.
Right. And so you have a couple dice you're rolling, and you have monsters attacking you, and then the magic system, which I really like because it puts a large emphasis on like the horrors that you're going up against are, you know, a gun is not going to do very much to them. You're going to have to use magic, and magic is very dangerous because it takes your very life force in order to use it, but it's extremely powerful, right? So you have that trade-off. And then when you are in the actual city of Scarstone, you are behind this magical barrier that makes it safe. So you're not gonna you're not gonna get attacked by like horrible eldritch monsters, but you do have still your personal woes and like emotions and stuff. So you switch to a completely narrative system that is just about talking about what you're doing and then asking each other questions about your character's thoughts and feelings as you know, recover from your most recent outing. And yeah, I really, really love it. I think it's a fantastic, like, if you enjoy horror that is all about how the horror is changing the characters rather than like, you know, slasher fix where just everybody's dying, which is also fun. That one's a really good one.
Very cool. Very cool.
Something that I'm really loving hearing about all of these indie games is the amount of sharing, which we talked about, sharing systems, but also the diversity in game in like gameplay style, in form, whether it's short or long form, and the diversity of content as well. The diversity of genre. You've got like 1920s noir, you've got high fantasy, you've got horror, you've got like you're a critter, you're an animal, but then there's also like diversity, which I'm assuming is on the creator end as well, at least I'm hoping it is, where you've got like, you know, Jews during World War One, and then you've got, you know, queer communities, and then it's the one you just mentioned. I mean, it is so cool seeing the diversity, because there's more than just, you know, your Eurocentric fantasy that we can be playing and enjoying and sharing these stories.
Definitely.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's, you know, oh man, I wonder if I can remember the exact number. I think we have around like 400-ish publishers that we have their games at the moment. And that's also what I really enjoy about indie games, specifically in like, you're seeing a lot of indie games made by people who are my age, which is like early 20s. I'm 23 right now. And so you're seeing just like a ton of games that are made by people of color, by, you know, queer folk, by just hugely diverse. There's currently RPGC, which is Southeast Asian creators.
Yes.
You can follow, if you find Momados on Twitter. She runs the RPGC website page, and you can find like all of these games by just incredible designers from, you know, Southeast Asia, and they're just some of my absolute favorite. I love all games is the problem, but some of my absolute favorite games are from these creators. You have like Momados herself, who made Magus, which is a hack of 1,000-year-old vampire. You have Pamela. Oh shoot, I can't remember her last name, but Pam has Navinthan's End, which is going to be crowdfunding soon, which is a game about like, you have these previous adventurers. It's basically when you've run a D&D campaign and your characters have reached 20th level and they've become, you know, mythic gods and stuff in your world, and then what about the like party that comes after them, and like it has to live up to those figures. And that's what Navithan's End is about. It's really fantastic. I'm super excited to get a physical copy. But yeah, you have just an immense amount of diversity, and it shows in the games that you can find. Just there's thousands upon thousands of games, and it's why I ask people, like, you know, not what kind of games are you interested, but what kind of story do you want to tell? Because that's how I'm going to be able to find you like the system and game to fit what you're going for.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I actually have one that kind of leads into that. So before I show it, I'm going to pitch just a little bit here. So you're a Dungeons and Dragons player that really likes to dig through your books and create characters. you've got maybe like a big folder full of characters that you're probably never going to play, but you really love digging in and trying to find those options, right?
Just created one the other day just because I was bored.
Yeah, exactly, right? You know, like
just at me next time.
If you play Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or any of the games that are kind of a derivative of that, like there are people out there that absolutely love to do that. They just want to create characters. Well, I have a game that kind of fits in what we were just talking about, but it was also for those people. Okay.
Oh my God, my bread and butter.
That is Lancer. Okay. Now we do not carry this at IPR. We do carry a couple powered by Lancer. I forgot what their particular license is called, but we do carry games that are off of the Lancer game. Lancer is a far into the future sci-fi game where you play mech pilots or Lancers that does something that I thought was really cool for a mech game. It breaks up your gameplay between tactical mech, so you got a nice crunchy bit when you want to do combat, and the narrative storytelling that comes between the fights. And so, especially with a recent, well, I guess semi-recent release of, oh, darn it, I had it on the tip of my tongue. Well, one of their recent supplements for this that's PDF only adds in powered by Apocalypse like playbooks for Lancer. So you end up creating your character in two forms, like your character itself and then the mech, which is kind of its own character. This is also a game that wants to tell stories about diverse voices, diverse types of voices. And I believe at least one of the creators is a person of color. I believe Miguel Lopez would be it. But if you look through the art, I wish I could like really show off the art wherever it is.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous art. The system is really easy to understand. I ran it for AC and Jason and a couple other people here in town, and they picked it up very quickly.
The combat is so tasty. I love it.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
And while it is a crunchy game, in all crunchy games, combat does tend to like drag out. This is one of the faster of those like crunchy combat games. I would say that once you understand what you can do in a round, like what are the possibilities, it's a lot easier and a lot faster than like I've found in like Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons. So the story of the game, the story is all about humanity going out and colonizing space. And as Lancers, you are kind of part of a utopian project. There's a set of core worlds that have semi-successfully created utopias, and you are acting on the fringes, on the frontiers of human expansion in our galaxy, where people haven't quite figured out how to live and cooperate, and you still have mega corporations out there that are doing the evil capitalism stuff, that can happen with major corporations and capitalism. You've got stories of people that have been on this world for a long time and created their own culture and religion and beliefs, with somebody coming in and saying, no, you're doing it wrong. And now you, the Lancers, have to step in and go, hey, like, this is an injustice of what you're doing. We have to fight back. So that's the types of stories that like they really focuses on with Lancer. Or in their Discord, they also just have a weekly anybody can join gladiatorial ring where you create your mechs and you just so
really good.
If you want to focus on like a social justice issue, this game sets you up for that. If you want to just slugfest with your Lancaster, and the leveling system is actually like some of the best, I think, because you don't just pick up advancements in your character. You unlock new parts of various mechs, so you get to choose which mechs like you can pull parts from. And even at high level play, you can completely retool your mech at high level play if you want. Like if you know you're going to need to go like have a specific task, so you're not locked into something. Like I've seen in other like mech games like this, you can be adjustable, you can be adaptable. Or if you're like, I feel like I'm going in the wrong direction with this and I'm not really enjoying things, like you don't feel locked into it. Like you can make those adjustments as you go. So like it's a great system. I really wish that these guys had gotten a lot more attention. I love it anytime they pop up in a conversation online. So like
Very
Lancer,
cool.
definitely like, yeah. So,
Okay, we are nearing the end of our time, so I would love to hear one more game from each of you that you just really want to mention, and then I want to do a little lightning round.
Okay. Oh boy. Would you like to go, Taylor, or shall I start us off?
one more game. Gils, go ahead and start. I'm looking around to see what else there is for me to talk about, because I think I covered the ones I wanted to talk about.
There's so
If you're good, then we can jump right to the lightning round after AC has had their chance to give their one final.
Yeah.
The other thing I would bring up is Blades in the Dark. It is based off of the Powered by Apocalypse system, but also retools it to a point where it's kind of its own system. It is fantasy. It is a heist game. So you're playing the rogues. You're doing those types of intrigue and heist that you can't really pull off with the types of focuses that Dungeons and Dragons gives. It also does a really cool flashback mechanic. So if kind of like the Leverage show, when you think that they've run into a problem and they suddenly do a flashback and you see, oh no, they actually prepared for that. It has a mechanic for that in this. So,
yeah.
Great.
Nice.
So,
Taylor
all right,
brings up my activation phase. That's one of my I love Leverage so much. I can't believe you brought it up. I have to wrench myself back. I have to correct course in my brain so hard right now. Y'all see the new Leverage Redemption episodes? Anyways, they're good. So that's also, I was gonna talk about just really quick. Thursday is a Belonging Outside Belonging game. Where you are in a time loop. If you like shows like Russian Doll, one of the things about Belonging Outside Belonging that I really love, it's
fun.
So time loops as a like a trope in a show are there in order to force characters to like face their own issues and go through character development, right? And so Thursday does that very well, and the Belonging Outside Belonging system works fantastically for it because it is 100% geared towards having you make interesting choices, especially like in games like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. I don't think it's a bad thing, but there is that thing of like you can win at it, right? You want that power fantasy, and it's really good. But with Belonging Outside Belonging and the token system, you choose when your character fails, when you're going to make those weak moves to gain yourself a token that you can use later. And it encourages you to make interesting choices rather than what might be like the best choice for your character in the moment. And especially in a time loop, it really it's a fantastic introduction to that, because whatever your character does, the time loop resets, and then you can get really comfortable in the system and making those choices. And it's also really good because you have those setting elements. And so if you're looking to learn like how to have a GM-less game, Thursday is also really good for that, because you can get very familiar with the elements because you're always in like the city, right? If you try to leave whatever location you've set yourself in, the time loop restarts. So you get really familiar with like what the character of the city is, like how do you play as these different setting elements.
You made Shauna very happy.
I'm so happy right now.
I highly recommend. It's extremely Russian Doll. The playbooks that are there are
timey-wimey is my favorite.
Yeah, and it's just like I mentioned, one of my favorite things about Belonging Outside Belonging is how queer it is. And so when you're choosing your playbook, the genders in them are always it's not like male or female. Like you have I can't remember any in Thursday, but in another Belonging Outside Belonging game, Sleepaway, there's stuff like a sword or lightning strike, or like it's very
cool.
they're evocative and like meaningful and interesting genders, and I love it so much. So yeah, Thursday would be my one that I if you love time loops especially, maybe I'll bring that one along to a convention and we can play that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so my idea for the lightning round is this. We have a list of games, some that we mentioned, some that you guys mentioned during our little email conversations leading up to our chat today. And Sean and I will take turns listing out each of these games. And what we would like is the two of you will have an opportunity to give us 3 words or phrases that you can that come to your mind with this game. So if you each come up with things, then we'll have 6. And if only one of you comes up with things, then that's 3, and that's fine. Yeah, you ready?
Sure. Let's go for it.
So here's the thing. They may not mention everything about the system because they only get 3 words each, or phrases each. So if you really are interested in what they could be based on the adjectives, you've got to go on the website, indiepressrevolution.com, and check out more about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Okay. So, first one. We talked a little bit about it, but The Quiet Year.
Man. 3 words, huh?
or phrases. Yeah.
Another one of my favorites. It's got those good leading questions. And it's an artifact game. You get a map afterwards.
Say for 3 words, art. Oh, where's my? It's always been a little kooky when I've played it, and diceless. Yeah, diceless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
excellent.
Okay, Into the Weird and Wild.
Horror, eldritch, system agnostic.
Okay.
Treasure Fox. Black cover.
We missed your second one.
Free.
No,
Say one more time.
Your mic cut out again.
My AirPods are giving out. Let me actually just take this off. Hopefully it's not an echo.
Oh no.
Mm-mm.
No
Cover.
audio. Taylor. Come back to us.
You're almost there. Nope.
The third adjective is mystery.
There you go. No, nothing.
Mystery.
There you go. Mystery.
Okay.
No, we got you.
We got you.
Okay.
Okay, sign.
Silent. Language. Friendship.
Okay.
I think that's good. I think those ones are good. You got it.
Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Thirsty? Sword?
Uh-huh.
Lesbians.
Oh, okay.
Self-explanatory.
Queer swashbuckling adventure.
Okay.
What was the first one? Queer.
No. Queer, yeah.
Queer swashbuckling adventure.
Okay. Go ahead. You're
Oh, that was
one.
me.
Yeah.
Deck of Many Quests.
Oh no.
Your microphone's going out again.
If you go into the Zoom audio settings, you can change your microphone
to a different mic.
Yeah.
AC, did you want to?
Yeah, for sure. Deck of Many Quests. Let's see. Easy prep. Also system agnostic. Very pretty. It's gorgeous.
Ooh.
Very pretty. Okay.
Very pretty.
We will.
Wait.
Oh,
Yes.
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. I'm hoping there's not an echo because I do have speakers, but
No, you're
That's
doing
not too
good.
bad. You're good. So Deck of Many Quests, do you have any words for that one?
Cards, system agnostic, prompts.
Okay. What about dialect?
Language, you know what? I'm going to use what's actually on the book. How language dies.
That's
Okay.
fantastic. Yeah. I'll just add on gorgeous, incredible, meaningful.
Love it.
Love it. Fiasco.
Chaos. Chaos. Easy setup. It's so fun. Extreme fun.
Everybody dies spectacularly.
Great.
It's really good, yeah.
Picaresque.
Is it picturesque?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Roman, a requiem of rogues for rogues.
Yeah.
That is so new. I actually know nothing about it.
It's all
Okay.
good.
First off, please correct my title pronunciation.
Well, we'll see if I can do it. Picturesque Roman, a requiem for rogues.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Originally written in Japan. PvP, heists, and conmen.
All right.
Okay. Under Hollow Hills.
Cool. Circus,
Mm-hmm.
Fae, and Big Book.
Powered by the Apocalypse. Deeply meaningful, incredibly fun playbooks.
Goblin errands.
Oh, adorable, quick play, goblins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, goblins.
And our last fantasy hero complete.
Crunchy.
Say it again.
I said crunchy. What did you say?
I was going to say Jason would have been best to ask that question.
Yeah. Oh, you mean Jason, our general manager at IPR and also CEO of Hero Games, the people who publish Fantasy Hero Complete. Yeah, crunchy, just extremely versatile. It's got fractions in it.
Fractions, math.
If you like math,
math.
I'm able to come up with single words, but because so hero system, foundation of tabletop role-playing games. It honestly is one of the foundational systems, and extremely versatile.
Very cool.
We're able to do nearly anything with the hero system, and so whatever genre it attaches itself to, you're very easily able to adapt it to fit your needs. So
that is amazing.
Amazing. I love it. All right. Well, here at Mythic Geekdom, we like to end all of our streams, or at least most of our streams, with a geek wall. Behind us is the geek wall. We usually pick something off of the geek wall and show it off. So find something around your geek wall that you would like to be able to plug, and we'll do the same.
Cool. You can grab this one since you already grabbed this one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Can I show this one?
Sure.
Thank you.
You can that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Are we about Freddy? Freddy.
I'm about ready here.
Okay, go.
So
you go first.
This game is Illimat. It is it's made by some incredible independent RPG makers alongside the band The Decemberists. So if you are a fan of that band, Hazards of Love and all those amazing things that they did, that kind of like semi-gothic folksiness that is their genre, that is this game.
It totally is.
This very much plays like an 1800s parlor game. And it feels very much like a tarot card kind of situation. It comes with everything you need in it. It's beautiful.
And I like, the coolest thing about this is the box itself is a part of one of the components.
Yeah.
It moves, and depending on where it moves to depends on certain things can be played or not played. It's really fun, and you're basically just trying to get all of the cards out of your hand. And you go. It's meant to be seasonal, so you're playing along with the seasons and planting and reaping what you have planted, which is really cool.
And I want to add, there's a really good actual play podcast that actually is based off of Illimat.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, I love that.
Come on, say those again.
It's the campaign podcast through the One Shot Network. Okay. The lumens in Illimat are actually the gods of the world, and almost everybody.
And if you're familiar with Hazards of Love, a lot of them are very similar.
Yeah.
So
very cool. Mine is my cute little owlbear. This is an owlbear that was made for our campaign.
Yeah.
Our campaign on supporting roles.
You can catch on our YouTube.
The party, the Illuminated Outcasts, have a cute little owlbear cublet that goes along with them.
I may have made one for each of our party members.
And I as the GM, I tend to play the owlbear cublet McCree. So that's why I chose this one today. Thanks, Joe, for making.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Our
He's very
players
squishy.
He's nice and soft.
Yeah.
Taylor, why don't you go?
I got actually two things, because I like to collect board games, some of them vintage. I have this board game, which is not a very good one mechanically, but it's Quest for the
Dungeon Master from the cartoon.
This is based off of the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon series from, I think, the 80s. I bought this off of a game developer, Owen Casey Stevens, at a game convention. So I'm going to end up framing the board and everything at some point.
That's so cool.
Then I also have this, which unfortunately I can't really show off the really cool thing about it, but you build a 3D sand barge with a Sarlacc pit underneath it, and you play on. Now, once again, the mechanics of the game kind of are but I got this for 75 cents. All Kentucky town.
Wow.
Or that used to be an abandoned school. So kind of a cool story behind it as well. But
the way you described acquiring this game sounds like Baron von Munchausen.
Yeah. Oh, that part of my life was very much Baron von Munchausen. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, this is a game that I actually gifted my wife when we were dating. So it's So these are my two like emotionally prized board game collection my board game collection.
Very nice.
AC.
I can't believe you brought an owlbear plush out, because I also have an owlbear plush. Hold on, where's my camera?
They can be friends.
Oh, they gotta be friends. So this is the owlbear plush by Metal Weave Games. They are one of IPR's publishers. You can find their Baby Bestiary books on our website, but these are only available on their website because we can't do plushies. We only do books. But he's got a magnetic fish, and he's got a little cape on him, and he has a bow tie.
I love the cape. I love the cape.
It's so good, and he's super soft. And yeah, you should You should
So
go check
if you
them out.
want yourself a plush owlbear, you can't get one of these because I made them and they're exclusive to our party, but you can get yourself one of those.
Absolutely.
And they're so cute. And yeah, they got to be best friends now.
Yeah, totally. They're going to be best friends for
Well,
sure.
Taylor and AC, thank you so much for joining us today. Sharing all of these amazing games that can be found on Indie Press Revolution, and some of them which can be found on itch.io and other places. You know, run it back, rewind, and find out if that is the game that you're interested in. Find out where it can be found.
Absolutely.
Before we go, let us know anything that you want your handles, how we can get in contact with you or IPR, anything like that.
Yeah, get ready to
Plug
write these
yourself.
down.
Yeah.
Write this down, friends. Go ahead and give us those socials.
I think I'm on Twitter. I think it's at Taylor C. Once again, I gotta check.
It's for the itch.io. It is Taylor C. Hubler though.
Yes.
Yes.
Spell out Hubler because we don't have that written on the screen.
Sorry, what was that? Oh, the last Hubler.
Yes, Hubler.
I'm rarely on Twitter. I think I have the app installed. Nope, that's not. That's a different Taylor. Is this me? Apparently, there's more than one Taylor Hubler on Twitter.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, Tay C. Hubler. TayChubler. That's probably if anyone wants to get a hold of me personally, I do have the app installed. It'll send me a notification. So that's probably a good place to get a hold of me personally. So yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. First, thank you guys so much for having us also. This has been a really fantastic time. So thank you. You can find me at resident_Corvid most places. The place where I'm most active currently is Tumblr, and that's going to be resident-Corvid. And then, of course, you can find my games and the Wizard at Grey J Games. And you can find Indie Press Revolution, again, Facebook, Indie Press Revolution. We have our YouTube channel, Indie Press Revolution. We've got Mastodon, which is IPR, dice.camp at IPR, and then our Indie Press Revolution Tumblr as well. And of course, our website. But y'all know about that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. If you were interested in getting any of these games, hop on over to the website, check it out, look at them. There's some amazing games. We can't wait to play so many more of them that we just learned about today. And please stay tuned because we are going to be announcing the video game that we will be live streaming Let's Play with voice acting very soon, coming this spring. So stay tuned to all of our socials, Mythic Geekdom as well.
Yes, and until next time, stay mythic out there, geeks.